This episode of the Apple Bitz XL is sponsored by SaneBox, an AI-driven email management tool that saves the average user 2.5 hours of time per week by seamlessly organizing and filtering emails. To start your free trial and get a $25 credit, visit sanebox.com/applebits today. That's SANEBOX.com/applebits. All right, everybody, a special guest new to the show here, Farouk, aka you probably know him more as iPhonedo. I mean, that's how I was first introduced to him. Welcome to the show, Farouk. Thanks so much for hanging out, buddy.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, this is awesome. I've been watching your content for a long time, and your production level, I've told you this in person, is like chef's kiss. Your presentation, I think I think it's a good thing because people sometimes say this about, I think you're criminally underrated, okay? It's a good thing to be underrated versus overrated, but I just want to give you your flowers and say, you're doing an awesome job, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. It means so much coming from you. And I'm not saying this because we're talking to each other right now, but I love your stuff. And especially when we did the headphone review, I loved your video so much, and it was like parallel. Our videos were parallel. I was like, this is how we should approach this, and he did fantastic. So, yeah, I love your stuff, and I've been watching for a really long time, from back then. You were on my TV when I first bought my TV, Apple Byte, right? I'm not wrong.
I mean,
Apple Byte.
Yeah. You're right. That is
Yeah.
old school. I mean, what's interesting is also I remember when our reviews came out, I had people in the comments say like, "Oh, yours is exactly like phone." Like this was for our AirPods Max review.
AirPods Max,
and it took me like literally a week to figure out. We both used binaural microphones, which are shaped like your ears to collect sound the way you hear them. Because you and I are like, I didn't even know if it was gonna work, right? But I was like, let's give this a shot. So we put these the AirPod Max and others over this binaural microphone and recorded it and presented it to let people hear it for themselves and decide for themselves. And there's not many videos that do that. And so we basically approached it exactly the same, had a similar kind of story arc. We did have differences, and people are like, "Oh, you guys come." Like, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no way that him and I could have copied each other if we released this within 24 hours of each other and the time it took for us to make it. There's just no way. There's no way.
It is one of my very rare videos that I have zero beauty shots of the product. Like it's pure experience, and this is how it works. This is what it does, and I can make you hear it as much as I can. And then I see your video, you did exactly the same thing. I'm like, because that's what we can do. You cannot just put them on and be like, well, yeah, it sounds good,
And I mean, it's one of my best videos and just long tail, just purely because people are still watching that. And like, you still get random comments like, dude, this is an amazing thing. And I was like, I'm glad, because you and I put in a lot of work on that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
it was crazy amount of work. Yeah.
So, iPhonedo, I mean, I call you Farouk because we're friends, but can you tell people a little bit about yourself and what you cover? Everyone, you better subscribe to his channel because it's incredible.
Of course. I would love that. My name is Farouk, and I used to have websites dedicated to the products. I had a website for Sony Ericsson. I had a website for Nokia. I had a website for iPhone. And you would go to these websites and get information about those products. And also we had forums back then where you would go ask questions and things like that. It's things in that nature. And then one day I had my videos up on Google Video before YouTube, but then YouTube transferred those to YouTube. Google transferred those to YouTube because they were shutting down Google Video. And that's how my YouTube channel, the iPhonedo YouTube channel, turned into a thing. And then I live in Los Angeles. I was walking by an Apple store. There was a line outside of it. It was for iPhone 3GS. So I filmed it, I uploaded it, and then it got some traction. And then I got a MacBook, and then I put that on my channel. It got more attraction. So it turned into iPhonedo. That's how iPhonedo was born. It wasn't, it wasn't something planned. And I review technology. I review a lot of Apple products, drones, cameras. I review what I know and what I love. maybe we'll discuss this later, but I used to review stuff I don't like as well, because that would add, nice taste to the channel. But in time, I I started reviewing things I like more, because I want to be more positive and happy. Like, I love this camera. You can make crazy things with it. Come look at this, Mac Studio. It's insane. That's my approach at this time.
And I think it's incredible because, while you're doing this, the fact is, as a creator, you basically kind of fell into this. This was something you loved doing, but you weren't at that time. No one knew what YouTube was and what it was going to be, right? You were making videos, they got traction, like, I'm gonna keep doing this, and now it's like, this is what we can do for a living. And quite honestly, I would say, and we will, for everyone listening, we will jump into the MacBook Air real soon, but I just want to say, because of how you and other creators have been able to make YouTube a viable platform to make a living, like, honestly, me leaving that other place and becoming one of you guys helped me. You laid the groundwork for me to be successful here. So, I can only say thanks. Like, it's all this relationship that, you watched me back in the day, but I watched you, and then now I was able to jump over because of what you guys and gals have really built from a tech YouTube's perspective. So, there's always love that goes both ways.
I think our community, this tech community, is precious. I love everyone in it, and yeah, everyone like does great stuff, and then everyone else benefits from it. It's just us mostly,
Yeah.
sitting in our living rooms and doing this. You can not do it if you do not want to. It's so simple, but we're just driven into this. We love sharing our, findings about our products. I see myself as the bridge between the company and the consumer. And I think most of us is the same way, because I don't know. I think we're doing a good job.
I mean, it's fun. It's a lot of work. I mean, I didn't realize how much work it was until I started doing it, but it's really like, there's times where certain products or just certain videos you put out, you just feel good about it. You don't care or know who's going to actually watch it, but there's something rewarding about that journey of just being able to create something, just like throw it out into the world and let people figure out, and they can throw whatever comments they want. Okay, so Farouk, let's talk about the product that Apple just released that is getting the most buzz, that is physically here right now. That is the new 15-inch M2 MacBook Air. We both have dropped our reviews on it, so I kind of would love to hear your first impressions and general takes, and we'll kind of just talk about it.
I haven't reviewed the MacBook Air.
Oh, sorry. Correct.
No.
Correct.
Yeah.
My brain is
at
farting.
WWDC. No, it's totally fine.
Okay.
I've seen
But
it WWDC, and as far as I've seen, I really love the colors, and I'm really in love with M2. And I was expecting M2 to be faster than M1, but the more I use M2, I can't get over how much better it is. Because coming from Intel, it was a huge jump, and I wasn't expecting another great jump, and there it is. You tell me. I mean, I love the colors, I love the keyboard, I love the bigger size and the screen and all. But how is it? When it comes to doing stuff with it?
I think the best way that I describe it is, if you know what you have in a 13-inch MacBook Air with an M2, it's literally that with a bigger screen, and the speakers are a lot better. And guess what? They didn't need to do, and they've, this whole space, this 15-inch ultra thin-esque laptop has been dominated by PCs for years, because Apple hasn't chosen to enter this specific space, right? The general consumer, every time someone asks me about a computer, I typically will say, okay, start off with a 13-inch Air, the price, the reliability, the performance, how quiet it is because it's fanless, everything you get, and the ease of use, and the fact that you can do everything on it. That's typically the starting point. But when it came to, if I said, hey, if someone says I want a game on it, I'm going to say don't look at a Mac if you're really hardcore gamer. They have games, but not the games right when they come out. They always, for a creator, a content creator, it has to be, you have to point to someone at a MacBook Pro who's seriously caring about content creation. But
Yeah.
then this 15-inch thin space has been dominated by PCs, and now Apple's like, yeah, we're gonna get into that, and they want a piece of the pie. They're gonna take a big chunk of that pie, because so once people get their hands on this, that has never, there's a group of us like you and me, we like bigger screens because we're creating content for the
Yeah.
most part, especially when we're traveling. I have a M1 Max MacBook Pro. I did not upgrade it to an M2 because the M1 Max is already a beast. But using this M2
Yeah.
now, and because it has the media engine that tears through video, and because it's at 1.5 pounds lighter than a fully spec'd out 16-inch MacBook Pro, I'm not saying that I need it, but when we travel all the time and go to these events, knowing that I can still, whatever, I can render out a video on a M2 15-inch MacBook Air that's about a 15-minute video in about 9 minutes. That's I don't have any problem with that. I really don't,
No,
and it just
yeah.
comes down, right? So it's what you expect, but it's also incredible. Like I'm at the point where we take for granted, and this new generation of content creators that have no idea what it took to edit a video. I mean, I talk about editing video on Firewire, Mini DV. I was just at the end of High 8, but the process, the time, even how long it took to export a video. I mean, using Final Cut Pro, you're exporting a 13-minute video in like a minute and a half on these machines.
Yeah. And
That's
we're not talking about just a footage that is just cut, because that's how it was back in the day. You would just cut it, and if you're really courageous, you would just put a title, and then that title would ruin everything. The computer would be heating up, and then the render times would go up. Now we have lots, sounds, effects, transitions, everything, and it's just 5 minutes exported in H.265. Tiny file in 4K. Great looking footage. It is unbelievable. I cannot get over it. And in WWD, when we were at the WWDC, everything was going so fast. You had to finish your video and upload it super fast. And I was the slow one. Like, the computer was ahead of me. The computer was like, come on, come on, come on, just finish it so I can export it. It is so good. It's so freeing to have this kind of really good technology right under our hands. I love it.
Yeah, it's incredible. When I first said an export of 9 minutes, I forgot that was on Adobe Premiere. I know there's a lot of people that are like, why aren't you on Final Cut yet? And it's just one of those things where I learned on Premiere when I went independent. I was like, I don't have a month to get, and I know all the advantages of Final Cut Pro. I've seen them, but it's just like, I'm just so much more efficient still, and it would take me probably a month to really transition over. And like how fast things move. I just don't have a month to like really retrain my brain, and I'm still really efficient. So I'm like, but Final Cut Pro on an iPad, and that's got me more like, okay, let's just try and make a video on an iPad, just cause, right? But you're a Final Cut guy.
I'm a Final Cut guy, yeah. And I absolutely know what you're talking about, because that muscle memory and everything, you can't go ahead and try to discover where the speed ramp is in the middle of your editing when you're trying to finish a video for a deadline. You don't have a luxury like that. You may do it on your free time. You may watch a couple of videos on YouTube to see what is where. Also, with this kind of stuff, when you're learning something new that is similar to what you're doing, when let's say you switch to DaVinci Resolve, you don't know what you don't know. That is so muscle memory in the other editing program until it happens. All the plugins and everything, suddenly everything is changing. It's a big thing, so I understand. And I don't know, wait 9 minutes instead of 5, so who cares, as long as you got the footage out, as long as the editing, it's 4 minutes, it doesn't matter, because back in the day, we would go and make coffee while our computers were starting up. They were just starting up.
Right? And now like there's the instant on. You open the lid of a MacBook Air, if you look at it, the screen is on before you can even open it like 30 degrees, right? The screen turns on. Like,
Yeah.
all these things, I love how you mentioned that, because, I think there is value in us being around, you and I having just such a long experience with tech just to see how it evolves. Like, I mean, for people that don't know, like Farouk was part of like the skateboarding scene during those heydays in the 80s in LA, and like I learned all this, and I mean, that was one of the true innovative spots of video with handy cams. I mean, you guys and gals were doing things that when we saw it on a finished product, we were like blown away, right? I mean, that
Yeah.
was one of those hotbeds of really like creative innovation when it came to video production. So you've seen
Oh
it all.
yeah. Yeah. But I wasn't here. I wasn't here while I was skating. I was in Turkey. But
Oh, you were
yes,
in
I was
Turkey.
following all of that. I was in Turkey. Yeah. But yeah, all those the guy skating with them and getting those shots now we get with gimbals. Super simple. You may even run next to a skateboarder. It doesn't matter. It's stabilized.
So yeah, with the MacBook Air, the other things that I'd mention, the speakers sound great, but I would not say buy a laptop because the speakers are better. I think no one does that, but it's a great. I think Apple's audio, speaker wise, for their laptop line has been super underrated over the
Has
past
been
3 or 4 years.
really good.
They've done
Yeah.
an incredible job. Just even Apple positioning themselves as an audio company, right? It started with the AirPods. I mean, they have a history of doing that iPod speaker dock a long time ago, a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
But then now we talk about the AirPods Max, the spatial audio and Dolby Atmos, but the actual quality of the audio on their laptops. It's they're more than just they are killing that space as well. And I just think everyone pays attention to so many other things that they don't get enough credit for their audio.
Okay, so I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Where are the speakers on this machine?
So
Where is it?
it's a good question because there are no
Look.
speaker grills. Like if you look here, there are no speaker grills on the 15-inch MacBook Air. So they're
Yeah.
firing from like in here. They're firing from that gap. You
I
can't see
love it.
it, but they're firing from. But
Yeah.
when we talk about because we don't always watch each other's reviews when we talk about, I use the binaural microphone to compare the speakers of the 13-inch versus this new 15-inch, and you can tell, you can really
Yeah.
tell. It has two woofers and one tweeter on both sides. The 13 has one tweeter and one woofer. That makes a difference right there. Even
And
that,
they're
right?
vibration canceling, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
it's not
yeah, yeah, yeah.
vibrating. Oh yeah, fantastic.
It's really nice. All right, let's take a little breather from the show. We will get right back into it because this episode of the Apple Bitz XL is sponsored by SaneBox. It's an email management software that lets you work smarter in your inbox, save time, and focus on things more important than email. SaneBox is all about saving you time and helping you stress less on email. Using its proprietary AI, SaneBox organizes your incoming emails into appropriate folders, so when you open your inbox, you'll only see the important emails without lifting a finger. It's like a smart assistant with years of experience who knows what's important to you. Now, on average, this saves the average user between 2 to 4 hours each week by seamlessly organizing and filtering emails. SaneBox works with any email client. That also means you don't have to change email clients to take advantage of all of SaneBox's benefits. Now, as a trial user, SaneBox even offers a free one-to-one SaneBox concierge service where you can sit down with one of their email experts to review process steps for managing your email and then setting up SaneBox to match your workflow. Now, I found that it helps sort the emails that matter to me and those that don't, and I still check them and move messages when I need it, so it learns. It's just an easy label in my Gmail that I peek at every day. So start your free trial and get a $25 credit. Visit sanebox.com/applebits today. That's sanebox.com/applebits. So, when I look at this machine, $12.99 starting price point for what it. If you're, I talked about if you're really taking content creation seriously. Yeah, I point you to MacBook Pro. If I'm a young college student who wants to get into content creation, an M2 base model, you don't have to break the bank. A base model M2 is going to do it for you. It really is. I'd say bump up the RAM a little bit, bump up the storage space a little bit if you're really serious about video. But, the fact that I'm just kind of like lackadaisically like holding this thing up like, whatever. It's, this is an amazing machine for anyone. And it's so good that I want one for the road, but I'm not going to, I don't think I should, but maybe I'll end up with one just because it does so much for what I need. But I have a laptop, so I kind of play things as I'm a general consumer. There's some people that can't afford and buy literally everything that comes out. I just don't do that personally because I think it does a disservice to people watching that. If you can buy everything and you do buy everything and you don't make judicious choices, it just changes how you think about technology in general.
If you're a hungry creator and you're all about getting your product finished and you don't have a budget that we're spending on our crazy high-end laptops, that will get the job done. You will get your video finished with that thing or whatever you're doing, your music, and it's super light because everything adds up too. The camera, the laptop, the charger, everything starts adding up in your backpack. So when you go to an event and if you have a heavy backpack, you're constantly draining because you're carrying that thing. And every bit of weight you save counts. So in that sense, that's a really actually good laptop as well.
I mean, I can't even tell you, just traveling, like carrying all my camera gear and a laptop in a bag, there's a lot of weight involved there. So
Yeah.
1.5 pounds, I'll tell you, it makes a huge difference going from a 16-inch MacBook Pro to a 15-inch MacBook Air, and 1.5 pounds is off that weight. I mean, that's huge, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Even if
Yeah.
you're a traveling photographer or someone like that,
Yeah.
and you want that larger screen space. So I think it's an incredible machine. I know that I'm not buying one yet. I'll let you know. I'll let you know if I do. But is there any other questions or things like observations from your side that make that intriguing for you?
Everything about it is just so good for me. But I want to know how much better the screen is compared to the previous
Well,
MacBook Air.
they're using the same same screen, same pixel per inch resolution, pixel per inch density, same 500 nits, same color gamut, P3 color gamut support, and True Tone. So it is exactly the same display as the 13-inch. So
Yeah.
it's not, obviously it's not a ProMotion display. It's not mini LED like the pros have. I, you and I, when we edit, we're editing like 20, 24 frame, 30 frame per second video most of the time. The fact that it's a 60 hertz refresh rate doesn't bother me, especially when I'm editing video. It's like, I don't, maybe if you're someone who really cares about the promotion with scrolling through web pages and menus, it hasn't made a big enough difference for me that I'm like, I gotta have it. So
I
I don't
agree.
think that this does not suffer from not having promotion. And guess what? You're not paying like an extra $200-$300 because of that.
I
That's
agree.
huge, dude.
I only see it when we mention it and we start looking for it, and then after a while it just goes away. It just goes away for me.
Exactly.
It's not a
So
deal breaker. But if a computer is super slow, that's a deal breaker. If it's if the refresh rate isn't up to promotion, then you can still get your stuff done.
yeah. So MacBook Air. I mean, this is a rad apple. I'm just not throwing down on it. So let's talk about the Mac Studio because you got that and you reviewed
Yeah.
that. Again, I don't watch
Yeah.
people's reviews until I finish mine. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the Mac Studio. Which model first of all did you get? Was it an M2 Ultra or what? Like what were you sent for review?
I got the M2 Ultra with 128 gigabytes of RAM and 4 terabytes of storage. uh, so it's not the like full maxed out, especially when it comes to RAM. But I don't think I needed 192 gigabytes of RAM. And so I have my files that are set that I use for every computer review because I know how they behave and they're my files. It's not just downloaded from internet. So I know how they behave. I know what plugins are in there and what results I get. So I start doing my tests and the results were like nothing made sense. The results were almost like 50%. It finished it almost in 50% less time. So I was like, this is not
Oh,
possible. So I put the
Farouk, what are
files
you what are you
again.
on right? What are you on right? What is your main computer right now? Just out of curiosity.
I was using the M1 Ultra Mac Studio,
Mm.
and I immediately jumped to M2 Ultra. Right? I'm still using it.
So that I mean
So
that's huge, a 50% jump from M1 Ultra to M2 Ultra. You're saying?
yeah, 50% less time. So
Yes,
it's a
yes, yeah, half the
decrease
time.
in, yeah. And so it didn't make sense for me. So I restarted the computer. I did the tests again, and then I thought to myself, maybe they changed, because sometimes when you upgrade your compressor, the settings in the compressor presets, they change it to something else. So I go and find my old files and look at everything and then compare. No, it is just that much faster. But at the same time, this is why I love this thing so much. I did the same tests with my older machines to see what happened with the updates, and and they're faster too. So even if you have an M1 Ultra, M1 whatever Mac Studio, those machines are more optimized now. They're faster. But then there's M2 Ultra, which is mind blowing.
Mind
You
blowing.
literally put your file to try to export it, and then it's exported before you know. So it is. I haven't got used to it yet. When I first got my Mac Pro, in the Intel days, it was so fast, and after a while, you would just get used to it. It's like, yeah, this is how this machine works. With this, I'm still mind blown. And what it does is it makes you wanna do more stuff. You wanna edit more. You wanna put more effects. You're not afraid to bring in those things that slows the computer down normally, and that opens a huge, I don't know, this fresh feeling when you're editing, that you're not afraid to, explore, because sometimes you do some effects to see if it's going to work. Maybe you will discover something that's going to be, a signature on your channel. But if the computer is slow, everything's taking forever, you're on a tight time schedule, you give up on it, right? You're like, never mind, it's fine. Let's put the video out. But if it is this fast, then you're like, okay, let's see what I can do. Let's see what I can do. Let's see how much I can push. So in that sense, it's an incredible machine, super quiet. And then I did a test to see if there's any throttling, if there's any heat issues. And in the room temperature and in the colder temperature, it made minimum difference. You can't even take that into consideration. So the machine has no problem with the heat. So if you're comparing it to a Mac Pro, but if you don't want all the PCI slots, you're not going to use it. Or, if you prefer a SD card reader on a machine, there's no performance difference. You can just get the Mac Studio with M2 in it. It just works great. And it's super quiet. No matter what I did, I haven't heard the fans yet. Yeah, it's a
It's
fantastic device.
you brought up two really interesting and good points. So people kind of forget that these companies, whether it's Apple or third party, they do optimize their software after the fact. And so what I found is render tests, that because I keep this whole log of all the render tests, right? Because you just want to have a history of it. Render times for the M2 MacBook Air 13-inch were better a year later because of improvements in optimization of software, right? Same exact
Absolutely.
hardware, but it got better. And so
Yeah.
that is something that we don't talk about, or people just kind of don't think about it. But like, it does actually. These companies still are getting this better a year later. And then, it reminds me when you talk about how you had to like rerun the tests. I used to have a Intel MacBook 16-inch, or sorry, a MacBook. I guess it was 15-inch at the time, MacBook Pro. Was it 16? I can't remember. It was the Intel-based, the last Intel-based MacBook Pro. And I remember when the M1 first came out, and we really didn't know anything. Apple told us about it, but it sounded too good to be true. We're like, whatever, faster than Intel, blah, 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 this much. And
We
then I
all did
ran
the same thing. Yeah. Yeah.
none of us had a point of reference because we're all doing these reviews by ourselves on our own, and the numbers didn't make sense. I ran them over and over and over, and they were literally, I think the M1 cut my Intel time in more than half the time. It was like it took like a third of the time, and I'm like, this something's wrong, right? Something is wrong, and it wasn't wrong. And so then as I did my review, I just had to accept it because it didn't make sense. And so
Yeah.
to your point, this same thing of even going from M1 Ultra Studio to M2 Ultra Studio, the fact that, and I think they told, not I think, I remember they showed us a demo and they told us that they've actually added more optimization for the fact that there's now two media engines. They made them work even more efficiently together in the M2 Ultra versus the previous M1 Ultra configuration. So that's another,
Yeah.
right? That's another jump. But to be able to be blown away by render times, I mean, I know this is what we do, but it's actually hard to be blown away. And Apple continues to keep doing that. And I gotta imagine when they have this new 3 nanometer process that's supposed to be more powerful, more power efficient, if we see a more we technically should see a more significant jump from M2 to M3 than we saw from M1 to M2 because they're using the same chip process. Like I'm like, what else do I need? A M1 Ultra that you have can edit 22 streams of 8K video.
Yeah.
So when you talk about the creative possibilities, it's like, man, maybe I'll flirt with once in a while doing an 8K video just cause, right? Just cause there's no ceiling
You
now.
can. Yeah. Yeah. It's just that good. I remember, I think my first time when my mind was blown up when it comes to export times, it is when I switched from hard disks that had the disk literally
Spinning
physically
drive.
spinning in it to SSD, and then the export times dropped dramatically and I was mind blown. And then after that, it was, incremental time differences. And then M1 came and I was just mind blown. And then same thing with M2 now. So it's good.
So, I know you haven't a fully loaded M1 Ultra Max Studio, I think it's like around, is it around like $7,000 before tax, if I recall? So you're using the M2 Ultra. I mean, are you compelled to get an M2 Ultra because the M1 is already so crazy, or are you just gonna wait it out but you're still just blown away by the results? Like, where do you stand on the idea of upgrading or waiting for you personally?
I'm so I have that addiction that maybe I don't want to admit, but I want to get it. I want to max it out and get it. And sometime when M1 Max MacBook Pro came out, I maxed it out and I got it with 8 TB hard drive and everything. And I wanted that machine because I thought it would make a good YouTube video because it's maxed out. Everyone would want to see what maxed out is like. And I knew it was obscure to pay that much money in my case, but in time I just realized having 8 TB of storage is not just luxury, but it's something that is so good to have because you can fill it up with I have so much sound effects, so much plugins, so much footage. All the beauty shots and everything I did is shot in 120 frames per second. So everything starts taking up a lot of space. And then sometimes you render those footages. That takes up more space. And I came close to almost filling up 8 TB, but it was so comfortable. I didn't need an external drive. And the problem I have with external drives on projects like these, they heat up. And when they heat up, they slow down. So when they slow down, they're useless to me. So I'm showing it to my camera.
Oh, yeah.
This, and I'm going to show it to you. This is...
Oh, it's a fan you go put on your drive?
Yeah, this is a Peltier cooler from Razer. And I just put this on my, like external drive. I put this on there. And that's how I keep on working. And I don't need that when you have 8 TB. So as much as everything adds up and becomes really expensive, I find that when I have that kind of machine, I make that money back with a couple of jobs I get. So it pays for itself. And then I'm worryless when it comes to doing the next project.
So you didn't answer my question. Are you going to get an M2 Ultra Max Studio, or are you going to wait right now?
I'm making my way to saying that I'm trying to convince you to come with me. Let's go.
I mean, so here's the thing, right? The M2, I'm at a point as a creator where my M1 Max fully loaded 16-inch MacBook Pro
Yeah.
is so good
Yeah.
that I'm just gonna wait for the M3 generation.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because an M1 Max, not an Ultra, but an M1 Max to an M2 Max, it's like 20-30% speed gains, but it's not enough for me. If I can get to 40-50% render increase gains, then, and which I'm pretty sure is going to happen from M1 to M3, then I'll pull the trigger. And that's just how my brain is. And I wanted a Mac Studio. I still want a Mac Studio, and then I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait till M3, and
It
then
makes
just
sense.
go hard.
I
and go
completely
hard
understand.
Right.
I think it all comes down to upgrading your phone every 2 years instead of 1 year kind of approach, because they're so good now. I mean, if we go somewhere without any products and then they give us a camera and then an M1 MacBook, I wouldn't complain. I would still work on it.
And your face is all. I would look at.
I would
work
I will make. Look, I started with cameras that had 5-minute limit. Okay, so I'll
make
do
it work.
But yeah, I'll make it work. Don't worry. No excuses. That's how I approach these things. But if you can get it, get it. But if you don't, just get it done.
Oh man, that's amazing. So I'll expect to hear from you when you get that M2 Max. I mean M2 Ultra Studio. That's exciting. So Farouk, I also wanted to talk about, because this was when I saw you at WWDC this year. This is the first time that you had been invited to Apple's campus for an event, and I think there's a group of people that have been there so much that they don't really talk about, or maybe they are jaded by it or take it for granted. So I think my audience who has never been inside there, I'd love to kind of hear just you riff on your experiences going to Apple Park for the first time. What did you think? What did you see? And did it live up to expectations or surpass them? Like, what was your experience like there?
So, okay, listen very carefully. If you're curious, if you're into technology, and if all this really interests you, I hope you get to go one day, because it is unbelievably fun and unforgettable. I got the invitation, and I had to read the invitation 3 times, and I'm reading, it says in person, and I'm reading it, it says in person, and still my brain says, yeah, in person, sit by your computer and watch the keynote. I'm like, yeah, that's probably what it means. Thank you. I will never miss the WWDC. I never miss Apple events. So then I realized they're really inviting me. And then I completely lost it. It was so much fun. I did all the preparations. We drove there one day ago, and then I didn't sleep at night. I was very, very excited.
Yeah.
And then next day, I keep on turning in the bed, and I keep on thinking, I should go there. I should be there. I should get in the line. I don't know where the line is. And then I go there. I don't know anything. and I finally find where I needed to be. And I was the second person in line in the media group. There was one person in front of me. So I was the second to check in. So they give you a bag, and then it has some goodies in it. And then seeing that building in person, I cannot describe. No video, no matter how hard Apple tries with their gorgeous visuals, it doesn't make justice. When you enter that, when you see it from outside, yeah, it's ridiculous. But then you enter it, and then you go up one floor or whatever, and then you see that building turn like that. It's disorienting. It's mind-blowing how beautiful it is. And then we waited with the other media members, and then the event started, and the energy is off the roof. It's so good. And I want to talk about the clapping, because that was something that always felt weird to me. The people are clapping and
You mean when
cheering,
Apple has their
and
own
I
planted employees to clap along during certain points?
no, like when you're walking in the campus, they're like,
Oh
welcome,
yeah, yeah. The, when
welcome,
they
how
wel-
are
the
you
welcome
doing?
claps, the welcome claps. Yeah.
And I know what that is now. I was thinking about it ever since I got back. You know the feeling, you go to a bar and you don't want to dance. You just want to sit there, but inside you know you will dance if something gets you there. That's what that is. It gets you there, and then you just drop off all that, I don't know, all that feeling, and start enjoying it. The little kid inside of you comes out. And then we sit down, start watching the event. Tim Cook comes on stage, Craig Federighi comes on stage, and I was just out of my mind, just clapping and yelling, talking back to the event. You're watching a footage with everyone, but I was just talking back to it. It was so much fun. And I will never forget it. I hope I'll go back again and again and again. It's always going to be remarkable, but this first one I will never forget it. In the end, I was so tired from walking everywhere, and I got lost in the camp. And like, it's because it's a circle. You don't know which part of circle you're in. It was unforgettable.
No, I
I
I
don't.
remember seeing
Yeah.
you. I remember seeing you, and I said, and I knew it was your first time, and I'm like, dude, what do you think? And you were like, you're like, I can't process this. You were like overstimulated, like overwhelmed because there was just so much to see and take in. And the best way that I describe walking around the perimeter of Apple Park, where it's the UFO, it doesn't look real. It is so pristine. It looks like a
Yeah.
render, like a CGI render that you're looking at because it's so massive. There's not a spot. I don't know who cleans that thing, but whoever it is, they're doing a fantastic job.
They're
You
doing a
don't see,
fantastic job.
right? Like we pick up a device and it gets fingerprints all over it, right? There's not one fingerprint anywhere on Apple campus. I mean, at least that you can see. And the energy, it's different. That's why, like, when I go, I have to sometimes settle myself down and be like, okay, let's. But it definitely adds an extra effect, a layer of emotion and energy. And look, you got to go to a historic event. You went to Apple launching an all-new product category,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
rare. And
Yeah.
I think what was interesting about that is during the keynote, see, people at home were just watching a stream, but there we had audience members. People were cheering, people were clapping, people were laughing. So the energy was a lot different. It was interesting hearing people externally being like, what was so great about it? And I was like, really? I mean, even just the tech you weren't impressed by, and I could see how some wasn't, but everyone there was. You heard the reactions. You heard the gasp when they announced the final price. Like, all of those things
Yeah.
matter as part
Yeah.
of the experience, and so it was just really, really, really fun.
Yeah, it's something else, and I had the same experience. I was at E3 at an event, and I was expressing my feelings on the social media, and I said, "This is so cool." It's when Keanu Reeves came on stage, and he said, "Breathtaking." That's what I was there when that happened, and I was like, "This is just so cool. It's epic." And I got that reaction. It's like, no, it's not cool. It's just very bad announcement. And no one was happy about it. But being there in that sound, in that environment where all the people that are excited to be there, when they're there, it's completely different. It's like watching that movie on Thursday night when it first opens up. Not even Friday, and everyone's in
Yeah,
costumes,
yeah.
and they're yelling at the screen. It's like that. It's so cool.
It's like that versus watching it at home, a week, like streaming, right? Like, and the energy, right? The reactions. It does enhance the experience, and so, but yeah, the campus is amazing. Did you buy any merch to take back with you from the gift shop?
I did. I bought the Apple 1976 logo,
Uh huh. Uh-huh.
1970. And I got that one. I got a gray shirt with the Apple logo on it, and then I got another rainbow for my wife. So yeah, I went to the shop in
Infinite Loop. It sounds like
the
you went to
Apple
Infinite Loop,
Park,
right?
and then I
Yep,
went
yep,
to
yep,
Infinite Loop as well.
yep.
So
That
I experienced both of the shops.
when you said that, I'm like, oh, I think he. I was like, yeah, I think he went to Infinite Loop because the older retro shirts are at Infinite Loop. All of the new stuff is at the Visitor Center.
I
And
got I got the rainbows from the visitor center and the gray one from the Infinite Loop.
yeah, it's real nice. It's real nice. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Farouk, thank you so much for coming and hanging out and talking shop. I mean, I'd love to have you again down the line, of course. Can you tell everyone
Anytime.
again where they can like find your work, social media? You like what should they go search for?
Absolutely. On YouTube I'm iPhonedo. It's like Nintendo or avocado, if you will, but it's iPhonedo. And so literally the word iPhone and then DO at the end of it. And on Instagram, I'm on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok right now. On TikTok, it's the same iPhonedo, but on Instagram, it is AYFONDO. It's spelled different because someone squatted my name and Instagram is not giving it back to me.
That happened to me originally too. That's why I don't have my original name. Also, you got like a Turkish channel or Turkish Instagram as well, right? So got to show love there, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I do this stuff in two languages, both Turkish and English. And if you speak Turkish, come follow me on iPhonedo TR, standing for Turkey.
See, there you go. So,
Yeah,
all right, Farouk. That was awesome. Thanks so much for your time and hanging out. And I guess I'll see you at the next event or whenever the next camp thingamajigger
I
is. I
hope
mean,
so. We
yeah.
gotta go shopping, dude. You dress so well. I, I gotta learn from. I have so much to learn.
Yo. I mean, I love. First of all, we got to find time, but I'll hold you to that. Let's figure it out. And it's not like we don't. I don't go buy like the fanciest stuff. It's just what makes you feel happy. It makes you feel good.
I don't know. You look amazing every time. Every time I see you dressed, it's like, dude, it's so cool. And I go there like, in my gray shirt and sweatpants.
It's colors, baby. It's colors and patterns, baby. Just embrace
Oh
them.
yeah.
Embrace them. Embrace them. Well, maybe we do the iPhonedo makeover, BTZ style.
Oh, I would love that. Oh man.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Thank you. See ya.
See you soon. See ya.